Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 22 of the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing weekly gaming podcast from us, the Goodnight Groofs. My name is Matt. Today I'm joined by Mike and Paul. No Josh today. He'll be back next week, hopefully. But let's get right into it. Instead of asking you guys how you're doing this week, I want to ask everyone what the peak of the week has been. Shocking news. I know it happens every single week, but in a shocking twist of events here, I am going to go first because I don't trust that either of you were prepared for the question today. So I'm going to go first. The best thing that happened to me this week, the peak of my week, happens tomorrow. We are recording this early because tomorrow is Thanksgiving in America. I love a good food-based holiday. Lots of food. There's NFL football. I don't typically watch NFL games that aren't my team, the Packers. I don't really watch other teams anymore, just like games that don't involve my team. But I do on Thanksgiving because that's part of the holiday here in America. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited for a good chill day tomorrow. Mike, what's the peak of your week?
It's been a pretty quiet week. I guess Thanksgiving. It's gotta be. I don't have work for the next 2 days, so I get to do a lot of work on Groof stuff, and that's good. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, another peak of my week is Southern Fried Groofs. Episode 4 just came out yesterday as of today when we're recording. Of course, for you guys, it'll have almost been like a week when you're listening to this, but episode 4, fantastic. The best episode yet. Southern Fried Groofs just keeps getting better. The editing in episode 4 just makes the whole episode. It's so good. Mike did such an awesome job, so definitely check that out. Paul,
you're here.
The peak of your week, sir.
Peak of my week. Well, you know what? It's kind of boring answer, but I'm an unemployed gentleman. I've had some pretty good job interviews, intro calls, some stuff kicking up this week, which is cool. I got offered something last week that I'm not going to take because the job kind of sucks, but they really liked me, so that was positive.
It's nice to be liked.
It's nice to be liked, right? It's nice for everyone to be like, "Oh my god, we got to get this guy on board." It's just I was like, and then I kind of ghosted them. So then if they're listening to that right now, sorry, I'm not working at your terrible retail cell phone store. But on the plus side, I've got some cool buzz. Maybe working at a startup, maybe possibly. So some cool stuff. So excited. We're gonna see how it goes. I could be looking back on this next week and be like, "You idiot." But I'm pretty psyched. So hopefully by the end of this week, I'll know more about that. So yeah, that's kind of the peak of my week because I've just been kind of like obsessing over that because it's nice to go from making, no money to making a lot of money. So
you've got some irons in the fire. Right?
Things are happening. I got some irons in the fire. I've had a lot of good time to play games this week too, which is great. So like I've just been kind of focusing on interviews and then games, and I felt kind of good about it because I've actually, had some productive stuff going on, so it's made the gaming all the sweeter. And we'll definitely talk about more of that around the Watercooler. But yeah,
I feel like playing games during big interview weeks is just a good way to get your mind off of that for a little bit too.
Yeah.
So that's good that you had time for that. Let's move right along here. Let's get this episode going here. All right, trending topics. In trending topics, I give our panelists a choice between 3 search terms. They have to tell me which term they think got the most searches over the last 7 days via stats from Google Trends. We're going to play 3 quick rounds. I was going to say as always, but trending topics has been 4 rounds before, so I'd be lying. Round 1. Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance?
I'm going to go ahead and say Game Boy Advance because it's the newest one.
I just don't know why anyone would be searching any of these.
They're not.
I'm going to go Game Boy Color for no reason.
Well, the answer is Game Boy Advance. And I would have actually thought Game Boy Color for some reason. I just feel like as a name, that feels the most iconic amongst the Game Boy consoles, but I could be wrong on that. I feel like if people are going to search Game Boy Advance, they're probably searching Advance SP, but maybe not.
Yep, fair.
All right, round 2. Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, or Sega Dreamcast?
Sega Genesis, baby.
Aren't searching. we'll just let Paul win. Dreamcast.
Again, I would have picked Mike's, but it was Sega Genesis.
Jesus Christ.
I just want to say, give me some props that I'm good at trending topics, okay?
The psychology behind it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Final topic here. Final round, rather. Stuffing, cranberry sauce, or pumpkin pie?
For completely inappropriate reasons, I'm going to go with the dual purpose use of stuffing.
I mean, I was going to go with stuffing too. I think people are looking up recipes for that and nothing else.
Now, you're both right. It is stuffing. However, I was going to say, when I was initially doing this, I was thinking it's only called stuffing in like half of the country. The other half of the country calls it dressing. So
really?
Yeah.
In Canada, we also, in Ontario anyway, we say stuffing as well.
It's a southern thing. Dressing is much more southern. I thought maybe that would be the divide and it would end up being pumpkin pie. But you know what? I went with stuffing. I will say, of the three, my favorite is cranberry sauce.
I think of the three, my favorite would be pumpkin pie.
Yeah, pumpkin pie.
I'm not even a pie guy, nor like a fruit, vegetable kind of dessert guy, but pumpkin pie, there's just something about it.
I prefer an apple pie, but that's just me. All right, let's move on to the big question. This week, Star Citizen crossed $400 million in total funding. Though some of the money funding the game has come from private investors, much of it has been crowdfunded. Star Citizen has been called a dream game by some and a scam by others. Star Citizen is not alone in this situation. Many games have been funded by fans over the last decade. Some successes have been Psychonauts 2, Shenmue 3, Yooka-Laylee, Divinity, Original Sin 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Pillars of Eternity 2, and many more. However, there are some that didn't live up to expectations or, like Star Citizen, we're actually still waiting on. Games like Shroud of the Avatar, Crowfall, Mighty No. 9, Camelot Unchained, Chronicles of Illyria, and many others would fit into this category. So here's the question, guys. Is crowdfunding good for video games? Have we passed the golden era already and entered into an oversaturated era of vaporware and scams? Or are there still more great games to come from this method of funding? Now, I'll go first to give you guys a little time to ruminate on this. So, we had sort of the indie renaissance in the late 2000s and into the 2010s, right? Where you had Braid and Fez and Journey, and those really sort of made indie games a big deal. Like winning awards, selling a lot of copies, that sort of thing. This crowdfunding thing almost feels to me like the next step beyond the indie renaissance. You had people who were, some of them were experienced game developers who left to go make indie games, and that's what we had during the whole renaissance. And now you have people who have like not made games before going to crowdfunding. They don't have any sort of connections, so they're going to people on the internet to help them make their dream come true. Now you also have like really high profile industry veterans and people who have made big games, like Yooka-Laylee being the Banjo-Kazooie crowd, like Mark Jacobs having made some of the most popular MMOs, coming back and trying to make Camelot Unchained, which of course that hasn't gone so well. So you have these high profile people also coming back and using this. So I think it's sort of this interesting mix that sort of takes the indie renaissance and puts it to another step beyond that. Now, crowdfunding has been really great for those small indie games, but it's become a big problem specifically in the MMO community. MMOs are really difficult to make. They're expensive. They require
expensive.
So
like
expensive.
Crazy. Like more than you'd ever imagine.
Expensive, long development cycles, even with large teams. Because, you know, there's just MMOs are like multiple genres all put into one kind of game. And so you have these large development cycles. And obviously when people are crowdfunding, when fans are putting their money into it, they don't see returns on that very quickly. You know, you usually don't hear about an MMO until it's already been in development for 4 or 5 years. Whereas if it's kickstarting, then you might have the initial funding during the pre-production phase, and then you're not actually even going to see that game for maybe close to 10 years. Or in the case of Star Citizen now, well over that. Although Star Citizen, we'll talk about this more, I'm sure, but Star Citizen does have a playable game. Like, you can actually play Star Citizen. We talked about this on
You
Replay.
can play a game. It's not Star Citizen necessarily.
Right. But to continue what I was saying, MMOs, they're expensive. They require large teams. They require great back-end programming. Like, it can't just be amateur back-end programming. But now we see a new MMO popping up on Kickstarter every week. And this sort of delegitimizes future real attempts at this by people who are serious. For example, Ashes of Creation was called a scam for years. It still gets thrown around, despite the fact that they've shown tremendous progress over the years and aren't suffering from feature creep like Star Citizen. Ashes of Creation the whole time has been like, they're developing what they said they were going to develop from the beginning. They haven't gone and added features over time. It's just taking a long time because it's an MMO, and they're a team that grew from fairly small to now like almost 100 employees. So I don't want to say that we've passed the golden era, because I think there's still more good future crowdfunding games. I just think it's going, the method in which it happens is going to look different than how it currently looks, because I think the way that it currently looks has been delegitimized by a lot of scams and vaporware and games that just weren't all they were cracked up to be, weren't what they were promised to be. Even if they were honest attempts, they just didn't end up being what people thought they were going to be. Mike, let's go to you next on this. I don't know what your experience is with crowdfunded games, if you've played many of them. I know you do play a lot of indies, so you've probably come across them, maybe even not without knowing that you were doing so. But what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think crowdfunding is fine. You mentioned that, every week there seems to be a new MMO that pops up on Kickstarter, but even from indie, even outside of indies, like, there's still going to be some sort of caution with crowdfunding. I mean, look at Double Fine. They did tons of crowdfunding over the years for multiple games that barely made it to release.
Right.
So
and then Psychonauts too.
And then Psychonauts too. I don't think that we've passed a golden era per se. I just think that it's easier for people to crowdfund. I've crowdfunded a few games, not video games, board games, because they were far enough in development, and I knew that I would get a copy of it when it was done.
Yeah.
This, I think it's the same thing. I think it all boils down to, I think my high school Latin teacher would be proud of me, caveat emptor, or buyer beware. Just do your research, people. Like, I get that you might get hype over an idea, but an idea is great on paper. Getting to the actual finished product is a different thing. So just do your homework. If you want to support a Kickstarter campaign, do it. But know what you're buying and know what you're paying into. I think there are going to be a lot of games that come out of crowdfunding for the next decade or so easily. And I think a lot of good ones can come out of it as well. Just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the whole buyer beware thing. Like, internet scams, it's a nature of the internet, right? That's always going to be a thing. It doesn't necessarily touch these parts of the internet until later on. Like, at first Kickstarter, like, there really weren't any scams. Like, you could trust what you were looking at. Obviously, then it blows up, becomes a big deal. So yeah, people are going to use it to their advantage. That's just sort of how these things work. That's why I'm sort of thinking, like, the whole Kickstarter method of crowdfunding, yeah, maybe we've passed the golden era of that, but I do think, like Mike said, I think crowdfunding is here to stay, at least for a while, but it might look a little bit different going forward. I don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe something like a Patreon method where people are getting stuff over time and it's like a subscription model sort of thing. I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it'll look a little bit different than the current model of Kickstarter. Paul, what about you?
First off, a couple things. Like Mike is a fantastic little Bow Wow movie, definitely worth checking out.
I did love that movie.
Also, I believe he likes to be called Bow Wow now. Also, Mike, did you grow up in a 1970s coming of age movie that you had a Latin class and a Latin teacher? What the fuck in high school? What the hell is that?
Yeah, I took Latin for 3 years in high school. It's one of the languages offered, and I needed to take a language.
Yeah,
3
fair
years
enough. And
of
you're like,
Latin. Wow.
you're like, I don't want a language that I can do anything with. I want a fun one.
It's very useful.
It's interesting. It is actually really interesting, and I think depending on what you get it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not talking about Latin class. I mean, we were, but anyway, yeah. How do I feel about crowdfunding? It's weird. I think you guys have said some really great stuff. What I would really come on here and say is that I think crowdfunding has done best when it is used as a way to gauge interest in a game, and then private funding comes in and cleans that up and fills in the gaps. And I've seen that that's usually where the most successful games come out of crowdfunding. I think, I've played a lot of great crowdfunding games I like, but you look at stuff like Outer Wilds, Annapurna came in and got involved with that, or like The Artful Escape, same kind of thing. And also like Xbox got in with that. Shenmue 3, Sony, they made a lot of money on that, more than they expected. But still Sony and Deep Silver came in and filled the gap in the money there. Psychonauts 2, same thing. So I think it's really good to gauge interest, begin production, begin hiring. Yeah, I think filling in the gap with private funding is a good thing to do. Even Star Citizen has like 10% of their total money is private funding. See, that's the opposite. I think it should be more like 10% is your, how much you make from your crowdfunding. That shows investors that this is a game, that's worth putting some money into. Then you can maybe go through some rounds of whatever raising funds and things like that. But I think that's the best way to do crowdfunding, because it's one thing to just gauge interest in terms of going, oh, would you like to play a new fucking Spyro game? Of course I would. I'm never gonna play the Spyro game. I'd probably click, sure, why not, make one. But for me to actually go out and put like $50 behind it, that shows that I already have. I've given you the money for it. I would buy this game. I've bought this game, or at least I bought the idea of this game. That's how bad I want it. And I think that's a really cool tool for figuring out interest, but less so for funding an entire project.
You make a good point, because there are things, and I can't think of an example off the top of my head right now, but there are things that the internet has like clamored for that they really want, and then when it actually happens, they don't show up to it. Like
100%.
That's happened for movies, that's happened for games, that's happened for other things. And when people actually put their money into something to show that that's something that they really want, I think that's real support. Like you're actually seeing real support. And that, along with the games that you mentioned, that's what Ashes of Creation did. Like it was really about finding support, and then their like ultra rich CEO is the one who is basically funding the entire game. So yeah, I think you're right. It is a really good tool to gauge interest and see people who are actually going to get financially involved and not just say that this is something that they want. I've said, like, I was really excited for the Dune movie. I haven't seen the Dune movie yet.
Same, and I was also excited for the Dune movie, and I still haven't seen the Dune movie. And will I see it? Yes, I will. But hopefully. But the point is, yeah, I totally agree with you, Matt. There's so many things. There's so many times where I've seen like a game I'd be interested in that I haven't even really played, even stuff like it. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. Like the idea of that sounds so cool. But I've never committed to a crowdfunding campaign or anything like that. But if something came along that really was like directly up my alley and seemed real, then I might. And I think that's how you know it's real.
Mike, it looked like you were looking something up there. Some statistics, maybe?
No, I was just looking up to see what like possible alternatives to Kickstarter are, because like as you were talking about it, one of the things that I was thinking of is like the show Shark Tank. Like, why isn't there just? Is there a website where you have to provide a legitimate like business plan and milestones?
On Kickstarter, you're supposed to do that, right?
You're supposed to, but people don't, right? So like, is there an alternative? Like there are, there's Fundraiser, WeFunder, Indiegogo, GoFundMe. So there are other places. I personally, I don't know the requirements for these or anything like that.
Yeah. I know GoFundMe is a good alternative for the United States healthcare system. You just if you have any issues, you just go on GoFundMe and then they'll sponsor you. Yeah.
I always thought that
pretty good.
Whenever I hear GoFundMe, I just think they should have called it Go Fund Yourself. But
Oh, that's really funny. But that's the opposite though of what you're supposed to do. But it is really funny. Yeah.
I just that's always what pops up in my mind when I hear GoFundMe.
Maybe like Fund Me Daddy or something.
All I think of is like the person who I think at one of the college football events was holding up a sign that was like asking for pizza and had his GoFundMe, and they got like $3,000 or something stupid.
Paul,
I just think of the potato salad, of course, every time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Money on,
that was like an early one.
Yeah, and that was like millions of dollars for someone to make potato salad.
Paul, I don't know if this is happening in Canada right now, but if you drive down the road in America, you're very likely to see a car that says like Venmo me and their Venmo name on the back. It's like it's like buy a drink for the bride, or like I just graduated, buy me a graduation gift or something. And it's like I'm not going to give a random stranger money because they put their Venmo name on the back of a vehicle.
So I haven't seen that in Canada, but it's all over socials. So like people go like Cash App, Venmo, and they'll just be like I mean, it's like anyone, like just like a random dude who makes like a TikTok or something. He'll have like, oh, if you want to send me some Cash App stuff because you liked my video or something, and people send these cool stuff, and it's like, who is sending you this?
It's ridiculous.
It's so
the world
weird.
I don't understand things anymore. Any final thoughts on this before we move on? I think crowdfunding is mostly a good way of getting indie games and getting projects going that otherwise would have had no chance, because there are a lot of great things that come out of this. But I do think that we maybe need to take another look at how the model works. But any final thoughts from you guys on this?
No.
Well, all right, then let's move right along here to Over Under. In Over Under, I give our panelists a game title with a fake Metacritic score or a fake number of copies sold. They have to tell me whether the actual true number is over or under the number that I gave them. Review scores are taken from Metacritic and based on the best scoring launch platform. We're going to play 8 rounds, and the panelists can make the same guesses, but whoever made the most correct guesses at the end wins. Now, we take game title and fake number suggestions for Over Under from our $1 plus supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. Speaking of crowdfunding, where you can message us your suggestion. Now, I didn't even intend for this to work the way it did, but our first game is Ukulele. A fake score of 75.
Under.
I'll say over.
The real score, 73. Game number 2. Kirby Star Allies. Fake sales of 3.2 million.
Oh boy.
See, Switch is like a money printing machine, but also it's Kirby. This is going to be one of those ones that Matt, it's going to be like 3.1 or 3.3 or some bullshit.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and say over.
3.2? 3.2. Under.
Mike is right. Real sales of 2.9 million.
Yeah, that seems like way too much for that game.
The next game.
Sweating bullets over here.
Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. A fake score of 85.
Damn, okay, so this game was better. Easily better. But 85. Fuck, I'm going to get it wrong again. I'm going to go lower. Because it's just, I can't imagine.
85. What was this, like a sequel? Like
it's like a 2D platformer version instead of like a 3D platformer, and they were able to like hone it in a bit better because of that. Yeah.
85 is so high on
It's really high.
Oh boy.
They're Metacritic scores, but
they're Metacritic scores? Okay. I'm still really high. We'll go under.
Real score of 84.
Oh my god.
Next game.
I got on the board here.
Red Dead Revolver.
Whoa.
Fake sales of 3 million.
Lower.
Real sales.
Under.
I'm surprised that you guys got that so quickly. Real sales of 920,000.
Yeah, it's just like that game was barely like, I feel like it was like people like it was a cult thing that people wanted more, but it wasn't like a big seller. I always forget it exists.
Next game, A Hat in Time. A fake score of 81.
Higher.
Over.
A real score of 79.
Oh, I knew that.
I know you did, because you said it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was recent. Yeah.
Yeah. I said that for the.
I think when we did Groofs.
Yeah. Because I asked you what the score was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how Matt is just saying his stupid fucking segment titles now. Oh yeah, we talked about that in Groofs.
The next game, Red Dead Redemption. Fake sales of 12 million.
Oh, it's been
That's
out for
a high number.
That's high. But like also it's late
going
stage
under.
Rockstar. I'm gonna say under as well, yeah.
Real sales of 23 million.
Holy shit! That's crazy.
All right.
I just felt like it's been out for so long
So
before
much.
too, and a lot of people just bought it probably for like $1, but still, good lord.
How much did 2 sell?
I think it was an absurd amount, maybe like 40 something. It was at least 40.
God.
30 million in early 2020. That's from 2021.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's like 35 now or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Still ridiculous.
37 million sales as of July 30th. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fucking crazy. 39 million in November. Okay, 39. That's where it's our final number here.
All right.
High amounts.
Next game, Super Smash Brothers Brawl. A fake score of 91.
Oh, it was a good one. It was a really good one.
91?
That's high. That's high. But it's Nintendo. It's a flagship kind of game. Oh, fuck it. I'm wrong, but I'm going to say over.
I'll say under.
Real score, 93.
Damn it.
Hell yeah.
All right, what's the score?
what's the score?
We're on our final game here.
I have 4, Paul's 3.
Okay.
Oh, so I can tie it. All right.
All right. Final game. Uncharted 4. Fake sales of 18 million.
That's really tough.
I will say 18 million.
Yep.
I'll say under.
Just for the chance of being able to tie it, I'm going to say over.
Real sales of 15 million.
Ah.
Mike wins. Congratulations, Mike.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
job, guys. Good job.
Tough.
Now,
Tough.
looking back, I should have done all crowdfunded games, but
Oh, that would have been so neat. Yeah. Oh, well.
I feel like the sales numbers for those would probably be harder to find if they were privately published, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, maybe not. The good ones would,
The ones that
would
became
flaunt
like
it.
published. Yeah.
All right.
Very true.
Let's move on to the water cooler. Let's take a quick break around the water cooler to discuss the games that we have been playing this week. Paul, you teased on GG Replay and earlier in this show that you have been playing a decent number of games this week. Let us know. What have you been playing?
So not really number of games. It's been the double H. I've been playing a lot of Hades and Halo. Still keeping up Hades. Not a lot of interesting stuff to say. I'm just having a blast. It's really fun. But Halo wise, I'm getting in. I'm getting pulled in, and it's been the first time. When it first came out, I was very excited. I downloaded it like hour 1. I jumped in. I sucked so bad, and it just kind of bummed me out. And also, it's kind of bare bones, so there wasn't like a lot to play with unless you like just want to play the game. There isn't like a lot to do in there, like there's some customization stuff, but it wasn't enough to like keeping it open for a bit. But then I played with you guys. We had like some Groof games and had some fun times, and that was really cool. And I really enjoyed doing that and playing Big Team Battle. But really, the clincher for me was we played. I think it was last weekend or something like that. Matt, you and I played, and then Josh and Fave joined.
Yeah.
And I was doing okay, but I was saying I just really want to play on controller. Josh said, "Play on controller, man. Just do what you want." I played on controller. I'm having such a better time. Oh my goodness! It just feels like how it should feel to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm not saying I'm probably matched with like noobs half the time, but I had some good games. Like I went like 23-7 and Slayer a few times, like stuff like that. And I'm having a lot of fun with Fiesta. I'm usually have like a positive KD. I'm not like super competitive, but it's just fun to not totally suck, not be like 0-11 like I was when I first started playing recently. And yeah, I just feel like I've got my groove down. I still have to mess with my sensitivities and stuff, but yeah, I'm very into it. I've been tracking my challenges and trying to make sure I'm getting my battle pass up. I might buy one of those really cool looking armor sets for 1,000 points. We'll see. I'm thinking about it. But otherwise, it's just fun. And the event's pretty cool, too. I'm not crazy about the ninja stuff. Like, the armor core is okay. But it's just fun to, like, progress in something. So, yeah, I'm having a really, really good time with Halo.
No, it's interesting because, and people might disagree with this. That's okay. But Halo, I think, is really the beginning of the modern FPS. What first-person shooters, especially competitive multiplayer first-person shooters, became. And it's interesting because the lineage from the original Halo games, it was a console game. So yeah, controller with Halo weirdly feels really comfortable, more so than I would say other FPS games. Like when you think of FPS, for the most part, I think you think PC gaming. I think most people would say that.
No, there's a lot of like casuals who think of like playing
That's
Call
true.
of Duty on
Yeah.
PlayStation kind of thing. That
I would
vibe.
say competitive FPS though. You think
Yes,
PC.
competitive, I would think PC.
Halo, first thing is always console, right? I'm playing on PC now because I don't have an Xbox. But yeah, it just, and I guess now PC you can play with controllers and stuff, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, playing Halo with a controller just feels right. I don't know. I am playing with mouse and keyboard because I feel like I would absolutely be more trash than I already am. But you're right. Controller with Halo just feels right.
I feel like the classic weapons feel really, really good and well balanced for controller. Like I find I do better with like an assault rifle or something on controller than I do on with like mouse and keyboard, partly because that's like a spam thing, but I do enjoy like assault. I can get my assault rifle beatdown kind of combo back in, which is cool, which is something I couldn't really feel out properly on like mouse and keyboard. But on the flip side, something like the new, I think it's like VK-47 Commando or whatever, like that LMG gun, the recoil on that's really like there's very little recoil I feel like in Halo, but that gun has a ton of recoil and it makes it really hard to play on controller actually, like aim it. So I think there's some weapons they've like weirdly tuned better for like mouse point and some that are tuned well for like controller. And so I think you can get away with playing either in casual matches and it's fun either way, which is really, really cool. But also in competitive, I do get why there is obviously still a difference between having your inputs be controller or mouse and keyboard. So they do like separate those two inputs in ranked, which, I mean, Josh and I talked about, it's disappointing being controller players to not be able to play with all your buds in ranked, but also in the same side, I mean, mouse and keyboard obviously just has benefits that I think I can rock a casual game, but playing with really competitive people who know what they're doing with the equipment they have, mouse and keyboard has more upward ability, a higher skill cap, right?
One thing that feels so much better with the controller, and it's not even close, is melee moves in Halo. And I was thinking the last time we were playing, I was just thinking how like the sound effect is, I feel like it's so iconic. It's so satisfying. It's so iconic. And it feels so much better on a controller than it does trying to find your key on the keyboard, which is the trouble that I've been having.
And as someone who I would say at this point, I don't know, 40% of my kills involve melee, 50% of my kills involve melee. I would say, that makes it so fun for me in on controller.
I'll just jump in now because obviously we've all been playing Halo Infinite. So we'll just use this section to talk about Halo Infinite. But yeah, the multiplayer, like I can't get over how much fun I'm having. And when did Halo 3 come out? Was it 2007 or something like that?
Yep.
I haven't played Halo since 2000. It's 14 years later, and I'm having a lot of fun in Halo, and it feels like I haven't skipped a beat. The game feels the same. It's crazy. I love it so much. Halo Infinite is so much fun. The progression on the Battle Pass is still way too slow. They need to up that, but I'm having so much fun. Mike, tell us a little bit about your Halo Infinite adventures.
I mean, it's been great. I love it. I play it probably every day at this point. I'm having a lot of fun with, the new event pass. I'm kind of lukewarm on. It's exciting, but at the same point, it's implemented in such a weird way that I'm just like 343, please. Like I was saying on the replay today, progression has been a lot better. I think the event pass has made progression better. I'm having a great time with it. Fiesta is a great mode that I wish they would just have. I don't know why it's not just in the quick play. I don't know why you can't, or if it's just a separate playlist of itself. I don't know why there aren't playlists. Just put in playlists.
Yeah, they used to have a Fiesta playlist, I think, that had a bunch of different game modes or something like that. And that I like because I don't want it to be in quick play just because it's so goofy and fun and feels like less strenuous to me to play Fiesta for some reason. And even though I'm playing casual normally, and I feel like if it were in quick play, I wouldn't get to have it as much. I love that I can queue for Fiesta and just keep getting like people goofing around over and over again. It's a lot of fun.
Fiesta is the one where you get random weapons, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are nodding
You got
on an audio medium.
Yeah.
This is a video podcast as well, Matt. Yes.
You get a completely random full kit, so you get a piece of equipment as well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And random grenades and stuff.
I think they're frags still.
I think they're all frags. I haven't seen anything but frag grenades. So
I need my
I kind of wish it was. Yeah, I
stuck someone for the first time in Halo Infinite today. That was fun. Totally by accident. I thought I had a frag. I just threw whatever grenade. I just pressed the button to throw something, and it happened to be a sticky grenade, and it happened to stick them.
So actually, a really bad throw if it were a frag.
Easily a bad throw, yeah. but it was a
great
perfect throw for a sticky grenade, yeah.
But yeah, I have been playing a lot of ranked, and I think so. You mentioned that like controller and keyboard players can't play with each other. They can. There are 3 ranked modes. There's crossplay, and then there's duos and solo, which are input specific. But like if you have, I don't know what happened when Josh and I tried to play ranked. Something happened where his input wasn't working, so somehow he got stuck in a keyboard only match. But there definitely is a way to do it. You just have to specify it, because I have a rank for crossplay. I don't have a rank for keyboard mouse. But either way, I've been playing a lot of ranked. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it. I'm almost to diamond, so
wow.
I'm doing good.
How does the ranking system work exactly? Because now, even though I suck, I'm like intrigued to play ranked.
I know. I like playing ranked even when I suck. It's still
tell me how bad I am. 343. Please tell me how bad I am.
What I understand is that winning or losing the game doesn't really matter. What they take into account is how you played. So your personal like performance is what determines how far up or down you go on their scale. I've had games where I've lost, and I haven't lost any rank points or anything like that. And then I've had games where I've won, and I did so well that it propelled me like a third of a rank. So I think what they put together is pretty good. I know that the game has an MMR system in it, so I would love to see my actual MMR. I don't know why I can't, but I can see the group's average MMR. That's annoying, but whatever. I'll take it.
So in ranked, are you in games really only with people of your similar rank?
Okay, there's a lot of talk about that on the subreddit, actually. Some people are thinking, and there's some evidence to suggest that the higher rank you go, the game pairs you with worse teammates.
Okay.
There's apparently like some Halo pros out there with like a 40% win rate in ranked because they're having to carry their entire team. Meanwhile, the other
Mats out there.
Right. So like meanwhile, the other team is all people around the same average MMR as the other team.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know how true that is. I mean, like, obviously those statistics exist and people have reported them. I don't know if that's just an issue with how high those, Halo pros are on the MMR system. If the MMR system, like the matchmaking, actually just gets confused and doesn't know what to do, or if it's by design that they want to like, hold people back. I have no idea, but I haven't had much issue. Everyone seems roughly around the same skill area when I've been playing. Granted, I got placed in gold, and then in a day I got to platinum 4. So like I rose pretty quickly through the ranks, and I could tell that I was outclassing some people in games. But everyone in the game seemed about the same skill level. And even now I don't really see people like, when I was in gold games, I was going like 20-7. Now I'm going more like 13-13 or something like that. And everyone else seems to be doing the same. So who knows? It will definitely tell you if you suck.
Yeah, I'm very curious how it works, because in in team games, the ranking systems are always interesting because it's not like a true ladder, and especially in Halo, like an arena shooter, I feel like the way that it works has to be done differently, and I'd be curious to know how exactly they're going about it.
There was a blog post by 343 about it, and it just says that your rank improves when you perform better than expected. So clearly they have like some performance metric that they expect you to hit every game, and if you do better than that performance metric, then they're like, okay, bump you up a little bit.
Right. That's fair.
What that is, they're not revealing what's under the hood, but
yeah,
I mean, that feels better than just purely win-loss.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely better than that. Mike, what else have you been playing this week?
That's it.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Well, this will be quick then, because I played mostly Halo Infinite, but I did go back after 3 weeks, and I finished up the Platinum Trophy for, yes, you guessed it, Pumpkin Jack. I had to finish the final level, and no spoilers, but waiting into the next season actually is pretty appropriate to finish the final level in Pumpkin Jack. So I'm kind of glad that I waited, but I did finally finish that up, got the Platinum Trophy. I bought Miles Morales Ultimate Edition so I could get the remaster for the original Spider-Man as well, and I bought Psychonauts 2, both as a part of the PlayStation Black Friday.
Psychonauts?
Psychonauts.
It sounded like you
Did I say
Psychonauts?
Yeah, I also bought Psychonauts too.
Suck those nuts.
In the PlayStation Black Friday sale, so I'm excited to get there. Paul, I suggested that he needs to buy Persona 5 because it's like $9 for the Black Friday sale. Yeah. I really think Paul would like Persona. I think like the quirkiness of the characters and like
it's like the high school life sim kind of thing. Really
Exactly.
Gets me. Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's like it's self-aware, over-the-top anime at times. So it's funny. It's not like cringe. It's just actually funny. So I think you would really like it.
Well, I would like to play it. The problem is I kind of have like my PS. I'm not really playing my PS4 a lot. I'm playing a lot of games on PC. Unfortunately, it sucks that it's on PC. But also for like, I think it's like I don't know, like $12 Canadian or something. I might buy it just to have it and get to it at some point. But yeah,
$9. All right.
Yeah. I've been looking at Psychonauts 2 as well.
Yeah,
free on Game. I currently have it open on the Xbox app.
I think
it's been open for 3 days.
I think it's a longer platinum than I would like it to be, but I'm excited just to see how creative the game is.
And playing the game, right?
Well, no, it's all about the platinum. No.
Game, right?
I think I need to. I should probably play it before the Game Awards.
Yes, that's what I want to do too. Let's move on to audience questions. Every week we address 2 or 3 audience questions, comments, or concerns, although we haven't actually addressed any comments or concerns yet. We take questions from our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you can crowdfund us. You can also leave your questions in the comments section of the previous episode's post. The $1 tier will get you access to those question submissions. But we also take submissions at gamegroofs@gmail.com and in the YouTube comments, but our patrons will always receive priority. But I will say, we have many new listeners. We don't have a lot of patrons, so gamegroofs@gmail.com. You'll get in the show, I promise you. It will happen.
Oh, yeah.
The first question comes from a turkey, an actual fowl.
Gobble, gobble.
What are your favorite and least favorite skills or professions in video games? Paul, let's go to you first. Tell us.
Yeah, 100%. So we're talking like, what are we talking, like classes, that kind of thing, or no?
Like gathering, crafting, that.
Oh,
that
God, I thought we were going like professions, like a class kind of thing.
No, we're not. Should we go to Mike first?
No, you know what? I can pull something out of my my patoot here. I think my favorites are like a profession. I tend to like gathering in general when it's a profession. I mean, WoW is the place where I put a lot of time into crafting and gathering. I really like herbalism in WoW. That just feels so peaceful and fun. Herbalism and mining is so fun, and then just kind of selling it all in the auction house is a really great experience. It's just fun. You just feel like you're putting in a hard day's work and you're selling your wares to someone else who will do something with it. You don't have to craft it yourself.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. I like doing that. But on the flip side too, it's cool. There's some really cool WoW stuff. Inscription's really awesome. I like the way Inscription exists now. more so than actually being like a useful talent. It's all visual, which I think is so cool. It's all just like different visual effects. And I think that's like a really sick profession. Instead of making, I mean, obviously there's like, there's some real money stuff in WoW now, of course, but instead of, making it so that, if you want to change your druid water form into a dolphin, you don't have to pay $5 for it, right? You just make the dolphin inscription, and I think that's really cool. So that's probably one of the most unique and interesting and really fun things that I really like. And I mean, I'm just mostly going for WoW because that's the most profession experience I have.
I'll hop in on that. I also I like gathering skills in MMOs, like you said, mining, herbalism, but I like skinning as well. That sort of thing. New World's Gathering is particularly good. It might be one of the only thing that's really praised about the game, but it is really good, I think. I think that the gathering in Conan Exiles is peak of all gathering in any game ever. It's so satisfying.
I'll jump in and say I love that. The fact that you can break a rock and it actually breaks and you get all the pieces and it gets into smaller pieces.
So good.
So good.
So good. I also like smelting and blacksmithing when it feels good in games, and again, I think it feels pretty good in Conan Exiles. It's very menu-y, but it's hard to, I don't know, in these kind of games it's hard to not make it that way. I will say I hate cooking in every single game. So I think that the turkey who asked this question will be happy to hear that. But I absolutely hate cooking in real life. I hate cooking in games. So
we talked about this recently with Epic Chef. You said
we did,
cooking in games, and you said cooking in games actually feels more rewarding than in real life.
It does, yeah, because you get the buffs and stuff out of it, yeah.
The buff you get in real life is that you stay alive. As we
yeah,
said.
But everyone has to do it.
I forgot about least favorite too, and I'll say I agree. I don't really like cooking, and I especially don't like again jumping on WoW, but I fucking hate like first aid and stuff. I just don't like anything that's too useful in combat. I don't like having to like deal with a skill so that it helps me in combat. So I think that's why like cooking and first aid and stuff in WoW and other games too, where that's kind of part of it. Even like alchemy in WoW too. That's kind of like you're building stuff that is good for combat. And I don't want to have to. I'm so bad at combat, like in the sense that like I just like to have a few buttons to press. If there's like a bunch of cool skills that are like all that stuff that they pruned out of WoW that everyone was like, why'd you prune all this stuff that made the game unique? I'm like, never touch those buttons anyway. Anything that has anything that has more than like a 10-second cooldown, maybe even 5-second cooldown, I'm probably not pressing ever. I'm bad. I'm in the wrong. But yeah, so having a potion or food or a bandage or something else I have to add to my rotation, forget about it. Like for me, crafting and skills, it's all about like passives all the way. Same with talents, passives. Nothing that gives me, if there's a talent that's like 5% more attack percentage and then the other one's like a cool new skill, percentages all the way. I'm everything that's wrong with World of Warcraft.
That's okay. Well, what about like an hour-long buff? That's sort of like a passive.
Yeah, I could take an hour-long buff, I guess, but then I have to remember to like put. It's a whole thing. I have to remember to craft them.
You got to flask
the
up
dungeon.
when you're raiding.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
Put armor on. It's done.
Mike, how about you?
I think we all know that my answer is going to be fishing, but I also enjoy cooking in most games. Cooking is great. I just like, well, I mean, it goes hand in hand with fishing. You got fish. Yep. What you gonna do with it? I think my least favorite, though, I have yet to find a game where I enjoy the enchanting process. I always find it extremely cumbersome and just way too many steps. Like Skyrim enchanting, I can't be bothered. WoW enchanting is just really expensive. I'm just why? Just why? So yeah, those are mine. Really like fishing. Really excited for fishing in Guild Wars 2. It's gonna be great.
Great excited for you.
Thank you.
All right, next question. This one comes from Shaggy. Now, with WB's multiverses having been announced, I wanted to hear what you guys think about crossover games. I'll go first. I like them in moderation, and when they try to do something new and interesting. A crossover for the sake of just putting different characters together, to me, is a waste of opportunity. I feel like there are so many good, or there are so few rather, good crossover games, because they really just, like, that's the gimmick, is that it's a giant crossover, which I understand that being probably the main draw, but they need to still be an interesting game, right? So Fortnite is sort of the ultimate crossover game right now. Really the ultimate crossover game of all time. I think it's cool, but at times Fortnite can kind of, I don't know, it can feel like a little much, and I'm not really sure that they actually do anything revolutionary with it, other than the revolutionary part itself being the absurdity of the crossover. I mean, like, you can have Batman, Neymar, Rick Sanchez, and Ariana Grande all shooting each other in the face with guns. It's kind of weird. Like, they could all be in a squad together. Like, that's just really strange. But that's kind of like the thing that Fortnite has become, which it's interesting how Fortnite has pivoted. Like, originally it was like this totally different game that became a BR, that BR then sort of lived off selling skins that were these weird crossovers. It's really interesting. That's another conversation, is Fortnite's evolution over time. But what do you guys think about crossover games?
I think they're fine as long as they're done well. I think Multiverses looks really cool. It looks like they're focused on making it work well. They just need to be good. That's basically the issue, and a lot of them aren't. They're just money grabs. Like, I kind of feel like Nickelodeon Brawl is just a money grab, and one that I unfortunately bought. It just doesn't feel good. It's not a good game. I have no problem with them. Just do them. It has to be a game first, not just a marketing ploy.
Agreed.
Yep. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, I like what you were saying, Matt. I think it's good when the game, like what you were talking about with Fortnite, I think it's good when the game is meant to be a crossover. I like that a lot. I think those, keep that. Again, I think it should be a good game, of course, like you were saying, but like Mike was saying. But I think ultimately, if you make your game to be a crossover, basically Fortnite has become easily, or even, a good crossover game like Smash Brothers or, Multiverses or something. Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. I'm hesitant about crossover in games that aren't meant to be a crossover game, which obviously you brought up because we've talked about, what's happening with the Dead Cells thing, or, Sackboy and Fall Guys and Fall Guys and Sackboy and that kind of stuff. But also, I think that's where you have to be really careful about doing it right and doing it the right amount. And I think that's where you really have to be smart about how you're doing it too. And I think, cross promoting two different games like the Fall Guys Sackboy thing is good, as long as it's like, 1-to-1. That's pretty cool. Like, both it's like a crossover episode, or like show has the other character in it that week, and the other show has the other guy's character, and they flip. That's kind of fun versus just shoehorning someone in without reciprocity. But also, like, I think with the Dead Cells thing, it works really well because they're adding like stuff from a bunch of games all at once, which is really cool too, and a bunch of very different games. That's fun too. But yeah, I think there's a lot of really good examples of like awkwardly shoehorning in characters that don't make sense, or crossover events that don't make sense in games that really don't need them. So I think it really just comes down to if the game is good and tastefully, and the crossover is tastefully done, then you can get away with it, I think, in games that aren't just meant to be a crossover.
I think a good example of a completely unnecessary shoehorned crossover would be what was also announced this week, which is Sonic in Monster Hunter Rise.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect example.
So stupid. Makes no sense. Yeah. I don't understand how it helps Monster Hunter Rise by any stretch of the imagination.
Or it's like the Monkey Ball stuff. The Monkey Ball crossovers where they added in like the weird cat from Persona, and they added in a bunch of that wasn't helpful. It didn't add anything to the game. I mean, the game is about monkeys in balls. And then they just add. They're like, well, we could put anything in balls now. I mean, like, whatever. It's like, why don't we spend that dev time? I mean, I'm sure it's admittedly easy to do that, but maybe spend some of that dev time making the game better. No. People will come for the Persona cat.
Like, it should have been like a cheat code. You can put a cheat code in and you get the Persona cat. You can put a cheat code in and you can play as a JPEG of a Sega console. Like, not.
But it was a big selling feature. It was like meant to be an announcement, and that's where I think you get into bad crossover stuff.
I agree. All right, let's move on to QuickTime questions. In QuickTime questions, I ask our panelists a series of sometimes silly, opinion-based questions, and they have to give me the first answer that pops into their head as quickly as possible. We're going to cycle through the panelists with different questions, but sometimes I may tell the next panelist same question, so they better be ready. If they don't give an answer quickly enough, we pass the question off to the next panelist automatically. If There are no winners in this game, only losers. We take QuickTime questions from our $1 plus supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you can message us your suggestion. Or, you know what? We don't have enough patrons, so send it to gamegroofs@gmail.com. All right.
Do it, please.
Are you gentlemen ready for QuickTime questions?
Mm-hmm.
Born ready.
All right. Paul, what dev studio would you least trust with the Spider-Man IP?
Activision Blizzard.
Mike, interesting, because they used to be a part of that.
Yep.
Mike, what video game character would be a good president?
Sonic.
No. Paul, if Mario rides on Yoshi, who does Yoshi ride on?
Ridley.
Mike, what would it take for you to complete a playthrough of The Witcher 3?
Time, like
Yeah.
few hours.
Jesus Christ.
Because it ends at the Noon Wraith.
Paul,
Right, exactly.
Paul, what's the worst game mechanic you've ever encountered?
I don't know.
Same question to Mike.
Sonic's running and Sonic Boom.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Mike, is your medallion humming? Paul,
No.
Xbox shaped fridge or fridge shaped Xbox?
Xbox shaped fridge.
Mike, what video game mascot deserves their own party game?
Also Sonic.
Same question to Paul.
I'm gonna have to go with Drake.
Oh,
Nathan Drake.
okay, interesting. That
It'd
would
just be a weird party.
He's so weird.
Paul, what game would you display on a shelf above all others?
Obviously Dark Souls, because it is the ultimate game of all time.
Mike, final question. What mundane real-world task needs its own simulator game?
Filing my taxes simulator.
Oh.
For bonus, I was going to say pooping.
Oh. That has to exist, right?
I don't know if a good one does.
True.
I mean, they simulate pooping in the first South Park game.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you can go to the bathroom and there's a mini game.
Do you mean
Please
like
describe it in great detail?
Do you mean the Stick of Truth or like the N64
Stick of Truth.
game?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
The N64 racing game.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that mini game. Maybe.
Well, you didn't sit on the toilet, apparently.
True.
Yeah,
I
you
guess it
didn't
was
use it.
skippable.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the final segment here. This is simply called Giving Thanks. Each panelist is going to say what they're thankful for in the world of video games on this lovely Thanksgiving weekend edition of the Game Groofs podcast. I'll go first. I'm thankful for the indie game community because they've really kind of shown the world that video games can actually be beautiful pieces of art, not just violent Mortal Kombat, which no shade against Mortal Kombat, but that was the perception of video games. Shooters were the widespread perception of video games. But indies really gave people this idea that the games can really be pieces of art. And so I'm thankful for that. Mike, what about you?
I'm thankful to 343 Industries.
Oh, yeah.
Because they finally made it feel like I'm back in 2010.
You're thankful for 343 for Halo 5, right?
No. No.
Halo 4?
It was fine, but no.
Paul, what are you thankful for?
Well, Matt, I just want to say your answer was so beautiful.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. Because you're totally right. That's a great answer. And probably the answer in my heart. But the answer I came up with was competition. I think competition in games is really, really something I'm thankful for. Because you know what? If we didn't have competition, we'd miss out on so many great characters. If we didn't have Mario, we never would have had Sonic.
No. You just...
That's what I'm thankful for.
Sonic does not belong anywhere near a giving thanks segment. All right.
It's got to be somewhere.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from the Goodnight Groofs. Now, if you really like the show, we encourage you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. I've only mentioned it a couple times. Yes, the value. Where we currently have 3 different tiers available. Any and all support is greatly appreciated and will go a long way in improving everything here at the Goodnight Groofs. The $3 plus tier will get you access to this show, this very podcast, 2 days early. You're going to get it on Friday instead of Sunday. Now, a special shout out to all of our patrons currently supporting us in the $5 plus tier, Ishmael S. and Rachel S. A round of applause for them, please.
Soft round of applause.
We also ask that you take a couple minutes to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or leave a like and comment on the YouTube video. Everything helps. Now, no one has left an Apple review yet, an Apple Podcast review yet. We will read the first Apple Podcast review on the show, so go ahead and do that. It's got to be 5 stars though.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
well, I mean, I don't know. I'll read 1-star reviews.
Get the
I'm
fuck
not encouraging it.
I'll read it privately. Make sure to check out goodnightgroofs.com for all of our content, where you'll find this podcast, GG Replay, Southern Fried Groofs, coming out every Saturday and Tuesday, game reviews, and more. Guys, any last thoughts?
Happy Thanksgiving. Everyone enjoy your weekend. I know it's Sunday. This is coming out. Some people might be listening Friday with all their Black Friday goodies, but you know what? I hope everyone had a fantastic, safe Thanksgiving, everyone in America, and that you're excited to go back to work tomorrow.
That was lovely, Paul. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That'll do it for us here today. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving.
Night, Groofs.